So sa nating aknia, welcome to Khmer Voices, where we shine a spotlight on the achievements of the Cambodian diaspora around the world. I'm your host, Vanni, aka Vanny. Now, since I started feeling like a podcaster about 12 episodes in, I've been leaning into the arts. And more recently, over the last couple months, I've started connecting with more artists. Now, on Khmer Voices, I want to showcase a variety of success stories, and the arts is not usually considered a serious career path historically in our community. But I think it's starting to change now, right? So today, I'm excited for you to meet Cheerted Keo. Cheerted immigrated to the Netherlands with his family in 1986 when he was 2 years old. Presently, he's a mural artist living in Phnom Penh whose work has been commissioned by an airline, international hotel chain, and real estate development companies, just to name a few. And being an artist as a profession isn't typically a career path that's encouraged in our community, as I mentioned earlier. And Cheerted feels lucky. He didn't have to face that obstacle. He was encouraged by his family at a young age to develop and hone his talents. In this engaging conversation, you'll learn about his experience as a Cambodian refugee growing up in the Netherlands, his once uncertain path in the arts, and how he's contributing to showcasing modern Cambodia through his art. For me, at 43 years old, I've learned so much from my guests about our history and our unique and shared experiences. And my conversation with Cheerted was no different, and I trust you'll enjoy getting to know him as much as I did.
So yeah, I was born in a refugee camp, like a lot of people know, Khawidang, just on the Thai border, just over the Cambodian soil, actually. That was in 1986. I was born there, yeah, and at the age of 2, we moved to the Netherlands, my parents and me. But yeah, just to go a bit to the story of my parents, I think we all know that in the diaspora that our parents, they went through a genocide and the war and this stuff, and yeah, so they basically kind of ran around looking for help, looking for a place that is safe in a way, and I think Kavidang was what I understood, a place where they could get some care from UNHCR. It was set up by UNHCR, right? And the Red Cross. Yeah, they were about 5 years in the camp. I think we were one of the latest to leave the camp. And then 86, I was born, and 88, we moved to the Netherlands. Initially, didn't want to move to the Netherlands though, because I assume, nobody back then there, they never heard of the Netherlands. What they heard of was France, US, or Canada, Australia. Those were the more common countries people signed up for to go to, and yeah, the Netherlands. I mean, what is that? Nobody heard of it. But but also my parents, my dad told me that they just signed up to go to the US initially, but it didn't happen exactly.
Yeah, that's the case for us too. So I asked my dad, I said, why did we come to Canada instead
Yeah.
of, any other country? He's like, actually, I wanted to
Uh-huh.
go to the US, but Canada accepted us first. So
Yeah.
that's how we ended up in Canada.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just wanted to leave, right? I
Hmm.
mean, they just at least they wanted to. What I've heard is that most of the families, they would send one, usually the older sibling, to try to get out, and when they got out to the US,
Sponsored.
they could bring the rest of the family there. So that
Mm.
was our idea as well. But then it didn't work out. So then we had to wait, and then the camp was almost closing, and in the Netherlands back then they had like a policy of bringing every year 500 refugees in, and then they invited us to go there as well. And my parents were like, "Yeah, we don't want to go back to Cambodia because there was still unrest and everything."
Hmm.
So they were like, "Yeah, let's go to the Netherlands and let's see."
Did they know anyone there?
No, not that I know of. Yeah, so I remember they went just with a group. So the Netherlands, they brought in refugees every year, and then
Mm,
I think the first Cambodians were there from the camp was in 83, I think, and then 84 was another group, and then 85, 86, and so on. So,
hmm.
but they didn't know anybody there. No relatives were in the Netherlands. Yeah.
What was your experience, your family's experience like being sent to the Netherlands, or I guess the Netherlands accepting you? Was it the government that sponsored your family, or did like a church or an organization or a family sponsored you?
What I understood was more the government, right? They had, so, like I said, they had a policy of bringing every year 500 refugees in.
Hmm.
I don't know the exact details on how it went, but it's I know it's not a church, no, but because we had a social worker, and usually
Mm.
these social workers are given by the government, right? So
I don't recall ever having to work with a social worker, although I was 3 years old when I arrived in Canada too. And well, my story is very similar to yours in that the government had brought us
yeah.
over, but a lot of families in Canada and in the US, a lot of churches and other
Mm, yeah,
families, like American or Canadian families,
yeah,
sponsored
yeah,
them, which is
yeah,
interesting
that's what I've
because
heard.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I don't know if there was any repayment schedule, but I just learned recently that my parents had to repay the Canadian government
Oh
back
shit.
too. Yeah, for our relocation
That's like,
costs. Yeah, so
oh
it's not like it's free, right? Like it just
oh
depends on how
damn.
you arrived here as a refugee, I
Yeah,
suppose. Yeah. I don't really
yeah.
know the
Ah,
details if you're sponsored by a church or
yeah,
another family. I assume that
yeah,
you're
but
not going to be responsible for any relocation costs to be repaid
oh man,
back.
that would be something, right? I mean, you just get relocated, and then you're just like, oh, this is heaven, and then you're like, no, you have to pay us for this.
Yeah, I
Oh,
guess you
interesting.
just allocated a portion of your paycheck and, pay
Yeah,
back
yeah,
the cost of
exactly.
relocating. Yeah, so your parents
Yeah.
arrived in the Netherlands and they didn't know anybody.
So yeah, when we arrived, they didn't know anybody, but there was already a group, a small community of Cambodians who came there earlier, right? Kind of stick together, the community. As for our parents, my parents, they didn't know the language whatsoever, and then the first people they interact with was that felt a bit close and familiar were, of course, other Cambodians that were living there already, right? So that kind of makes it easier for them. But in terms of culture and language and everything, no, they didn't know anything. But that's why we also had the social worker in a
Hmm.
way, and the social worker would help us to do get by in daily life, do groceries, how to use a microwave, how to use a toilet or whatever, just basic stuff. Yeah, how to do letters, papers, write things to. Yeah, writing was not in their skill yet, I think, back then. But yeah, just so we had a social worker to help us out
So you probably adopted Dutch really early since you were 2 years
as
old.
a
And
kid. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I went to they call it the creche here. So basically the primary school start at age 4, and before that you go to they call it creche. Comes from French. The word it's it's like younger kids, babies that are being taken care of. But yeah, there and then I learned Dutch. Yeah, pretty quickly at the
Hmm.
age of 4, and yeah.
And what was growing up in the Netherlands like? In your bio, you mentioned that your parents sent you to primary school in a small town away
Mhm.
from the Cambodian community, and you assume it's because they wanted you to adopt the Dutch culture more quickly.
Yeah, I think back of it. often, as in, yeah, why did they do that? And I asked them as well, and the response was from my mom was that what she wanted us to integrate as much as possible in the Dutch community, and when I listen to other podcast episodes of you, and then you had other guests, they were talking about putting the we call it the white folks
Mm-hmm.
almost on a pedestal. I think my
Mm-hmm.
parents did that also, in a way,
Mm.
and by wanting us to be involved a lot in the Dutch community. There was a way for them, and putting us at a school, because it was the small town that we were in. It was quite. I think it was one of the biggest towns where that had a lot. A big Cambodian community. But all these Cambodian kids, they all went to a different primary school, and my parents
Mm.
put me into another primary school with only one other Cambodian girl, and that's it. And yeah, with this reason, for us to integrate as best as possible in the Dutch society,
What was
and to
that
know
like
the
for
language.
you as a 4 year old? Did you even notice that?
I don't think I was fully aware of what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking back now at it, okay, I can kind of,
I'm with you because I started kindergarten when I was 4 years old, and I
yeah,
still remember my first day. And it wasn't my
yeah,
parents. My parents didn't drop me off. It was my neighbor, because
ah,
my best friend, who was the same age as me, we lived,
mm,
right beside each other. So it was my best friend's
yeah,
dad, who's also my neighbor. He was the one that dropped us off.
ah,
I think that's it. I think that was my first day, anyways, because I remember crying, and the
yeah,
teacher was so gentle and kind to me.
ah,
But I don't recall ever feeling sort of like the other until
yeah,
maybe I was like grade 3, grade 4, when I
yeah,
was a
yeah.
few years older. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that feeling as well. I just thought, as a kid, you don't really think about that. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have all this luggage with you yet. As in, it's funny that I say yet, because somehow it's just kind of externally like put into you in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
As
Mm-hmm.
in, but as a kid, you don't carry that yet. Yeah, I don't think I was fully. I think I was really aware of that things were a bit different in our house. I remember this story because, as a kid, I had friends, and we went to the supermarkets and stuff, and then we
Mm-hmm.
stole some candy, and and then, but but I think this was the first sign of thinking, there might be a bit something different in my family, because to continue this story is stealing candy. We got away a couple of times, and then all of a sudden one of our friends got caught, and
Mm-hmm.
then the parents found candy in his jacket, and then he had to tell everything. But that's the
Uh-huh.
thing, and then so he had to tell everything to his mom, and then the mom called the parents of the other kids, but they didn't called my parents. I was like, oh, why didn't you call my parents? But
Uh-huh.
they would later come to me, and I heard from the social worker also, because she was very involved in our family, and just almost like a grandma to me.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and then I heard, yeah, they were afraid that I would get beaten, in a way, by my parents. A beaten as in, I don't know. I think it's very Khmer and maybe old school traditional. If the kids are naughty, they get beaten.
They get a
It's
little,
like,
they get a spanking,
yeah,
not necessarily a
yes,
beating. I suppose it depends on the parents, but I wouldn't say like a severe beating is pervasive in our culture. I think even in Western culture, a spanking was what used to be
yeah,
punishment for a lot of people. I remember my father-in-law, he was telling me that at school, if you didn't get something right, they would, I think, take a ruler and then hit your hand
yeah,
with it, or hit it with your, yeah,
yeah,
hit your hand with the actual ruler, so that you would
yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Like, so I mean, that wasn't
That was a
he's not
big,
that much.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah, yeah. No, continue.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. A
Yeah,
beating
yeah,
sounds very harsh, right? Like it was
yeah,
more of a spanking, like
yeah.
that we would
Yeah,
get.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I think, well, with our family, it was a bit harder in a way. And that, yeah.
Oh, you have a
I
kitty cat?
mean, I have two, but this one is, but this one is very, he's always here. He always wants attention. It's like,
Oh.
come sit in front of. When I work at home, he sits in front of my laptop, and then
Oh.
it's like, dude. So, but yeah, I live with my partner as well. But she just accidentally opened the door, and now the cat just ran in.
Yeah, so you realize that people looked at you a bit differently after
Yeah,
this candy situation where
yeah,
your friend got caught and your parents weren't told
informed.
because
Yeah,
yeah, because the parents that of the boy that got caught were afraid that you would be punished in a way that they
yeah,
didn't think was appropriate.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and that
How old were
was
you
in a
at
way,
this time?
I don't know. It was below 10, maybe eight
Mm-hmm.
years old or something.
Yeah.
I can't recall the exact age, but everything is below 10 always. Like, something like this. That kind of, when I look back at it, it's kind of, yeah, this was a moment in my life that I thought, it's a bit different at our place. And then, later on, these signs kept coming up. So, yeah.
Mm. Were your parents strict?
Yes, they were. I remember my dad always said when we were kids, "Oh, my kids are gonna go when they get old. They gonna marry a Cambodian partner, this and that." And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they were always strict with learning, of course, and maybe it's a very Asian thing. The learning, education is first, and then they put everything in it. I remember when my dad came to the Netherlands, he really put his best into learning the language and
Mm-hmm.
learning the culture, and try. I think it was for him more like, okay, we are now in a good country, and we have the opportunity to do our best. So we do our best and make the best of it, and take all the opportunities available. So I think there was a lot. Uh,
So your parents, you have two siblings, so three kids.
mm,
What did they do for work?
The today still
No, when they were raised, when you first arrived in the Netherlands.
my siblings,
No, sorry, your parents. Your parents.
my parents.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you have three
Uh,
siblings. Sorry, I phrased that really oddly.
ah,
I'm
it's okay.
what I mean to say is there's three of you, so
Yes.
one is a lot already. One dependent.
Yeah.
Where did they find work, and what did they do for work, and who looked after you while they were working?
Yeah. So one, the social worker, she looked after us as well because her story is also a bit sad. As in was sad. Also, her husband died, and so she kind of wanted to do something to take her mind of it, and then she signed up to be a social worker as a volunteer to help families like us to integrate into the country. So
Mm.
she helped us a lot, and also within the community there were other families that had kids as well, and they had also social workers, volunteers, where we could go to, and you know or it was myself. Myself, I was 5 years old, my brother was
Uh-huh.
1 year old, and I remember my parents let me take care of him, and they were gone for, I don't know, the evening. And then me as a 5-year old, my brother as 1 year old, he climbed up the stairs and fell down, and he has like to this day like a big scar, like a Harry Potter
Oh,
scar. Yeah, so it's
oh.
still there. It's like, oh shit. Yeah, so sometimes it was me, but
What happened when your brother fell down? Like as a 5-year old, how did you react? Do you remember that? Do you
oh
remember the
no.
details?
Well, what I not the details, but what I vividly remember is that he fell down, and then just really a couple moments later, my parents arrived. So it
Oh,
was kind
okay.
of lucky as well. But yeah, I think he climbed up the stairs, and me, I don't know, I didn't know I was playing on the stairs as well, and then he fell.
Uh-huh.
He didn't fell from a high point, but
Uh-huh.
he just how he felt on something sharp on the stairs, and so that's why. Yeah, so they kind of had to find ways to make it work. And but to
Mhm.
come back to your question about how did they get work and what did they do? They were on welfare, right? Mostly welfare, and then they have factory jobs as well.
Mhm.
And during the summer times, they went vegetable picking, yeah,
Mhm.
farm work. I know in the community back then they had, so all the Cambodians, they went in summertime usually when when the season is there, they fetch went on a farm to work there, earn some extra money. Or I remember also during autumn we would collect, how do you call this, these nuts from the, I don't know how you call it. In
Is
Dutch
it
we call it
chestnuts or
eikels. Yeah, some of your chestnuts. Yeah, chestnuts also, and then we would collect those nuts, and then we would sell it because some farmers, they were looking for it, and then you could sell those nuts per kilo. But there's also a way.
wow.
It was also a way for us as a family to go to the woods, to the forest,
Mhm.
and play. Also, it was those were nice memories because I remember we just went. Everybody, my mom prepared the food in a and lunchbox, and then we went
Uh-huh.
during autumn. We went to the woods and we collect these nuts, chestnuts, and
Uh-huh.
we had lunches, and
Yeah.
it was nice. It's
Yeah,
very
she
full.
made an outing of it.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So yeah,
What you just described, how the Cambodians went to pick fruit and work on the farm for extra money. That's what a lot of Southeast Asians and the Cambodian community did here in Canada as well, and also harvest worms. Like they'd go. I remember my mom
right.
uh, working. She worked at an ice cream cone place. Like they made ice cream cones, and she'd always bring ice cream cones home, but never ice cream. But yeah, so she worked there, and then so during the day she'd work there, and then at night she'd go and harvest worms for extra money. So
Ah,
it's because I don't
yeah,
I guess people who fish need them.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah, yeah,
farmers need
exactly.
them too.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think the in the community there were always ways to make extra money, and
Hmm.
if one knew of a new way, it would spread, and then
Hmm.
other would try that as well. And so yeah, there was quite they were quite inventive or creative in looking for more ways to just earn that little bit of extra.
Hmm.
So
So
yeah,
your childhood sounds like it was just a typical child. Well, not just a typical, but your childhood with you didn't experience struggles and such. Like you had the immigrant experience where obviously funds were limited, and trying to adapt to your family adapting to a new society.
yeah.
But you felt comfortable. But in high school and secondary school, in your bio, you mentioned you had some struggles there. Could you tell us about that?
Secondary school, yeah, more struggles. I think, thinking back of it, I think it just had to do a lot with being a teenager. You couldn't
Mm,
really focus on one thing, and there was always a fear of missing out, and you always, yeah, want the next best thing. Or so I think it had to do a lot with that as well. A lot of stimulation externally from everywhere, and yeah, I remember, yeah, so the first year I didn't do well, and then the last quarter of the year I had to change something, or I would have been kicked out of school. But so I changed, I did more my best, and then I upgraded another level instead. So in the Netherlands is you have what, three levels. We
mm,
call MAVO, HAVO, and VWO. So MAVO is the lowest, and then HAVO is middle, VWO is the highest. But so yeah, I did MAVO, and then yeah, I didn't do my best, and at the end of the year I did more my best. I went to the second level, to HAVO, and then I went to the second level second year, and I didn't do anything as well. I got distracted, and maybe I got too cocky. I said, "Yeah, I can do it," and then and then I had to do the second year again. So I did my best, and I went to the third year. It's just I went kind of turbulent, up and down, up and down. But
hmm.
yeah, I think I don't know where it comes from, but I think it had to do a lot with yeah, like I said, my teenage brain. I think.
How did your parents respond to that?
Yeah, they didn't like it, of course, because I mean everything is about grades. I remember my
Right.
dad really, but also credits to him because he still is very much into math. And back then, he would homeschool me with math. And then every evening he would just do homework with me. And so I kind of excelled in math, all because of him homeschooling me. They didn't like it. That's what I
Hmm.
know. And I went up and down.
What
Um,
about your siblings? Did they have experiences like yours in terms of, the turbulent secondary school years, or were they more academically driven?
So my brother's the youngest. I felt like
Uh-huh.
he has been left alone, as in, okay, you're the youngest. We had your older siblings. We test them out, and then yeah, So, but I felt my sister. I think my sister had a lot of pressure to perform. I think she did one of the siblings of us, three of us. She did the best in terms of niveau level. But yeah, since she is a girl, also in the Cambodian family, it's kind of difficult because girl, teenager, you want to go out, you want to
Mhm.
maybe have a boyfriend, this and that, and it's like
Mhm.
in terms of school, there was always very much pressure in to perform, but
Mhm.
I think it goes beyond that, as in the expectations, social, family dynamics, and how what is expected and stuff. I think that played a lot of brought a lot of issues also, and especially for my sister, I think, and then my brother, the youngest, he's been left alone. It's like, yeah,
You're an artist now.
yeah,
How did you get into that when it sounded like your parents were more, all about academics?
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm surprised that they kind of let me in a way, because I don't know where that comes from, but I have a lot of good memories with drawing, and like that kind of kept with me, and it's a feeling or something that I kept following throughout my childhood, yeah, throughout my life actually. And I just remember being, as a kid, you draw something, yeah, you're being praised on your drawing, and maybe it
Mm-hmm.
looks ugly or whatsoever, no, but it's it's a kid's drawing, but it's this feeling of wow, somebody likes what I do, and then yeah, you continue with that, and then I remember my mom. I remember I was drawing a person with hair. You know how, as a kid, you draw a person with hair. It's like on the side, just like
Yeah.
two stripes, a circle and two stripes on the side. That's the
Uh-huh.
hair. And I remember my mom was like, "No, but hair doesn't only grow on the side, also on the back." So like, she colored the back as well of my drawing, and then so this little support, or this little help from her kind of gave me a bit more positive feedback or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this praising, it works, and then I kept following it and tried to improve it, and then I kept the people kind of like my work more and more, and then at art primary school as well, I was one of the best what a draftsman drawers in the class, and yeah, it gave me confidence. It gave me a bit of something that I could do something, and I could
Mm-hmm.
make people, yeah, me being seen, or people get a reaction from people or something. So I kind of, it always had a positive feeling with me drawing. So I kind of intuitively kind of followed it throughout my whole life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, also with choosing what kind of school I was going to. Yeah, when I dropped out of secondary school, I had to choose more direction. What was it? How do you call it? A direction to how do you call it? Where you work more with your hands, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, yeah, something with design, fashion. I was 16 or 17. 16, 17, you care a lot about what people think of you and how you look and everything, right? So it's like, oh, design is nice, and I liked art, I liked design, so clothing, and so I did fashion, and then after that I finished it. But also at fashion school, I got a lot of praise of my drawings and everything, so I just kept following this, and then I was like, yeah, I just want to be better at drawing. And so after fashion school, I went to art school just with the idea to get better at art.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, kept doing this, and still to this day, I just keep following this, But
Mm-hmm.
at one point after art school, I kind of told myself, okay, this is what I want to do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I would really regret looking back when I'm 80 or something, looking back and not following this, So I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. Just stick with it and go with it and write it out for the rest of my life, So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still doing it. So,
Yeah. In your bio, it looks like you're doing fabulous work right now, and you've got some
yeah,
big corporations commissioning your work too. So
yeah,
congratulations on your success
yeah.
there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
You
Yeah,
traveled in your younger years after school. And was that
yeah.
more of is that just something that, Europeans do and you wanted to do it too? Or did you feel a calling to go to China and Vietnam and Cambodia?
No, not a calling. I think, well, what I remember vividly back then, okay, I finished art school, and, I think maybe it's a European thing. I don't know. After your uni, or, your graduation, you want to go, people go traveling for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so, and yeah, I had friends of mine who did this, and these stories go around at school, and you kind of get curious. And a friend of mine, it basically came from a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. He said, let's go to China, let's go. So yeah, why not? Let's save for it, and let's try it out. um, so yeah, that's what I basically did. um, Yeah,
And what happened? Like how old were you when you were in your 20s? Can you
yeah.
tell
I
me
think
how you ended up in
yeah.
Cambodia?
So now, well, when I started traveling, it was after art school. It was 2012. I graduated, and then I
Mm,
worked for a year or two, no, a year, I think, something, just to save up for this trip. But back then it was also a bit turbulent. I was living with my parents because I wanted to save enough to travel.
mhm,
But it was turbulent at home. My parents were in a big argument, and I felt like I was kind of in between them, and felt like I needed to get away. And my friend who wanted to go to China, I was like, yeah, man, I need to get out of here as well. And then say, go to China. And oh, he's here again. This cat. What? Sorry. It's
oh, no worries.
um, yeah. So I was traveling. Yeah. So my friend, he was like, yeah, let's go to China and save up. So we went to China. Um, Eventually, the idea was to go to China for 3 months and then come back and then start adult life after
Mhm.
school. But around halfway in China, I wasn't really well. We met some people along the way, and we got. Oh, sorry.
Oh, there he is.
Always here for attention, eh? I mean, oh my god, this cat. Yeah, so I saved up. We traveled, and during halfway the trip, we were like, yeah, let's change our itinerary a bit. We met people who went to Vietnam, bought a bike there, and went traveling through Vietnam, and it kind of really, yeah, inspired us. We wanted to do that too, so we kind of changed our plans
Mhm.
a bit. Bought a bike, traveled the north of Vietnam, and then my friend, he had a partner back then, and he couldn't leave her for a long time alone, and so he went back. And I had nobody, and my parents were still in an argument with the two of them, and it's like, I don't want to go home yet. So I
Mm.
was like throwing away my return ticket, and then I went to continue my trip alone from North Vietnam to South. Well, alone without my friend, but we met friends. I met friends along the way
Mm.
to the south of Vietnam, Cambodia, and then and those were 3 months, 4 months maybe, and my money was already gone, so I only had like $200 left in my bank account. But I still didn't want to go home yet, and I was in Cambodia. And I remember we were driving from Vietnam in Cambodia, and back then
Uh-huh.
it was 2014, and there were kind of a demonstration, with the people on the street with white shirts, like, protesting against something here. I can't remember what exactly, but it was a big thing. And we were just driving from Vietnam into Cambodia, into this demonstration with people like, oh, white shirts, and screaming and everything. And it was like, oh, what else going on here, So we didn't know what was going on.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, eventually we heard there was a demonstration and everything. But then, yeah, so I only had $200 left, and I didn't want to go home yet. So, and I heard about Australia. You could go to Australia and get your working holiday visa, and you stay in Australia there and earn some money there. So I thought, yeah, just get on the plane with my $200 and then go to Australia. So I went to Melbourne, and yeah, and I only had money for what 1 week left to. So, but as an artist, I kind of paint. I In exchange for 1 week, I painted a nice mural there. So that kind of helped me for 1 week, and the first thing I did was there just go to the library and print out my resume, and then went to every restaurant I could find, and then handed out my resume, and just to get a job. And then
Uh-huh.
1 week later, I got a call from a restaurant. If I could do some dishwashing there, I said yes, of course, and then I got saved again. But yeah, so that was a nice experience. I stayed there
How
for
long were
a
you in
year.
Australia? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you before you finished.
No, no
You
worries.
stayed in
I've been
Australia.
for a year and a half or so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It's over a year.
And then
So
you went back to
yeah,
the Netherlands after that.
back to the Netherlands. Yeah,
Did you
you're
find
back to
a
the Netherlands. Hmm?
I'm curious about your time in Australia. Were you part of the expat community or did you seek out Cambodian communities there?
No, so it's funny. I was dating shortly a Cambodian Dutch girl who was living there as well.
Okay.
I know this is gonna be on what's the Spotify, so if she's gonna listen to hear it, it's okay. But yeah, so and she was, the thing was she was very much into Cambodia and digging up her roots and everything, and she would bring me to the diaspora there, and
Uh-huh.
eat
Uh-huh.
some katiw there and everything.
Yeah.
And for me back then, I wasn't really ready to go that way yet.
Right.
It was everything Cambodian was still very spontaneous or very um, fragmented. When I
Mhm.
felt like okay, I want to dig into some history stuff. Cambodia, I did it, and then another time, and then but it was very fragmented. But she was really into it, and I really personally wasn't ready yet. But I kind of got along with following her going into that as well. So I just discovered there's quite a big community there as well. The Khmer community there. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And so you ended up in the Netherlands. Oh, before I forget,
yeah.
did you speak Khmer at home growing up?
No, I kind of
No.
always. I don't know what it is. Maybe rejected it in a way. I kind of didn't want to speak it and kind of
Mhm.
refused to speak it in a way. I don't know why.
Right. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, every time I tried, it would come out very awkwardly or something, and
Right.
then one word could come out, and then I stopped speaking it. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
it's like
So
um,
I assume you're fluent now that you've been in Cambodia for 5 years.
more fluent, yes, more fluent,
Yes.
but not very fluent yet. But yeah, well, yeah, more fluent. I speak it better. I speak more confidently as well.
Mhm.
But the funny thing is here, nobody thinks I'm Khmer. Because usually also I'm a bit taller than the most of the Cambodians, the locals
Right.
here. So
Uh-huh.
and I have no hair, and they kind of associated this sort of baldness with the Chinese, and I have
Uh
Chinese blood in me as well. So it's like, oh,
yeah.
this is a Chinese dude, you know. And
Uh
then it's so funny when I speak. Usually they kind of speak to me in English, and then
uh
I answer back in Khmer, and then they kind of still refuse to speak Khmer back, and then it's like I still speak Khmer back, and then you see the confusion on their eyes. So when I order food here, you can order it through an app, and they would bring
mm,
it to you, and then when they
mhm.
arrive at your door, they will call you, right? And then they don't see your face or anything, but they will call you, and I would speak Khmer to them, and they speak
Mhm.
Khmer to me as well,
Mhm.
just fluently. It's like, and then when I go down and they see me, they kind of freeze, and it's like they start speaking English. It's like, dude, we just speak Khmer. It's like, so yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Well, you do have a Western look. I don't know what it is. We were just talking about this last night. We had a Cambodian cultural Center directors meeting, and
Yeah.
we're saying how in Vancouver the community is very fragmented. Like we don't have. That's why we started the Cambodian Cultural Center, so that we have this organization that people
Yeah. Yeah.
can go to, that people can connect with in the lower
Mm,
mainland of British Columbia. And as we were
yeah.
saying, like how people our age in our 40s and
Yeah.
30s, we didn't really have anything like that growing up, and we don't really associate with the temple either. Like we don't go to Wat,
Mm,
and that seems just
no. Yeah.
it's just really foreign to us growing up.
Mm,
Even though I attended, I was like you, I didn't really have a connection to it. Anyways, it
mm,
we were saying like how it's only the recently immigrated our age that are very immersed in our culture, which makes sense because they just arrived like 10, 15 years ago.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
even though they're our age, I could tell, even though they've been here for 10, 15 years, I could tell in their mannerism and the way that they dress that
Yeah.
they didn't grow up here. So I
Yeah.
and I see that in your pictures too. I'm like, even though I know that you grew up in the Netherlands, you don't look like a Cambodian that
Yeah.
grew up
Yeah.
in Cambodia.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. 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 No, it's true. I mean, funny thing is, I remember when I was here with my mom some time ago,
Hmm.
and I was walking with her to a market. She was like, "Don't walk too fast, because
Yeah.
otherwise we would, they would think we come from abroad. So we would, walk slower."
Uh-huh.
This kind of things, But yeah, people, it's the way you carry yourself, how you walk around, or
Hmm.
how you talk. The non-verbal language, body language that you communicate, right? That kind of yeah, gives away a lot already.
Yeah. I
So
find it
yeah,
so fascinating, and I admire their willingness to accommodate a Westerner by, speaking back to you in English, even though you spoke with them in
yeah,
Khmer. It's just
yeah,
our nature to be as accommodating as possible, and it's, to me, that was just a reflection of them wanting to accommodate you and making you
yeah,
feel at ease. Yeah, and it's
yeah,
just, I find that admirable. I know
yeah.
that yeah.
No, but yeah, I think so. But I think also a lot of times they kind of refuse to believe that you're Khmer, in a way. I had that too, It's like I remember I was in Siem Reap with a lady who was driving the tuk-tuk. And
Uh,
then she was like, she couldn't believe I was Khmer. It's like, oh, okay, it's like, wow, But so, yeah, I don't know what it is, but I like your interpretation as well.
well, that's how I look at it. We're just very
Yeah,
accommodating. It's a very accommodating culture. Oh, so going back to your teenage years, you decided in your bio, you said that you decided to just change your old ways and cut off people that just weren't serving you in the direction that you were going to. But you did
yeah.
say that you traveled with your best friend. So how did that work? Like your best friend obviously was on the same path as in, trying to not lead a life that was going nowhere. And that's why you guys remain best friends. Like, how did you cut off other people when, your friend that you grew up with is your best friend
Well,
too, and it was still your best friend while you're traveling? Does that make sense?
yeah, a bit. I think I understand what you're trying to say, as in, but I think the best friend I was referring to is the one who I was traveling with. Is
Hmm.
so he's really just Dutch. He's a Dutch
Okay.
guy. Yeah, I met him at the art school.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's a good friend of mine still to this day. About cutting off people, I don't think I did it consciously. Well, you know, so when I was growing up in the town called Breda, also a lot of Khmer community, but I was hanging around with some of the Khmer community. I was not always, there was people within the community who would always hang around with Khmer community
Hmm.
people, and then I was always a bit outside of it, not
Mm-hmm.
really in, you know. And but in my group of friends, there were two other Khmer guys who I was hanging around with as well. But it was more, I came from that kind of environment, as in, and then moved to art school, which was a totally different environment.
Mm.
At art school, I was the only one. I think I could, it's mostly white, white people, and I think there's like five other Asians, and that's it. So it was all coming from this kind of almost street, urban, I don't know how you want to call it, environment,
Mm-hmm.
hanging around with car parking lots, and to this art school hippie lifestyle. It's yeah, I kind of didn't. I don't think it was like consciously cutting off, but it just didn't fit in my
Yeah, you grew
yeah, in
apart.
my way of in my way of living anymore, or in what
Okay.
I would be interested in.
So your parents supported you when you started
Doing
pursuing
the
art.
arts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did they push you to your dad taught you math after school as well. So I'm
yeah.
assuming that he wanted to get you into that part of a
Well,
profession.
yeah. I remember he was, first I did fashion. I was like, oh my God, my parents are like, I don't know what my parents would think, but this dude's gonna do fashion. My dad, I think I remember what he was saying. I don't know if he joked about it or not, but he's like, yeah, I always wanted you to be a pilot, so you could fly us over to Cambodia. I said, okay.
Oh,
But yeah, they always, in a way, supported me. I felt
great.
in the arts. And never because well, they were the one who paying the bills, right?
Hmm.
And they were still supporting me. They think yeah. So I'm kind of lucky with that as well. As in,
Good.
they're not too strict about no arts. You need to earn money. You know. But when I look at my sister, she is more. She has a doctor's in neuroscience and PhD in that, and she does a lot of things. It's like overperformer almost, But
Wow. Yeah.
and I don't know how it comes, but with me, I was always a bit an underperformer in a way, and well, underperformer as in it's what do you
I
call
don't
it,
think you
underperformer
are. I think your talents lie in different arenas.
and different things. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
as in
I
I
want to go back to.
didn't.
Mhm.
As in, I didn't do the things that I would that they would expect me to do in a way, As in, my
Well,
sister was more, if you know what I
yeah, I
mean.
mean, she fit the traditional school system more than you did,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
fortunately, your parents have a open mind when it comes to the arts and pursuing that as a
yeah,
profession. I want to go back to your
yeah,
dad actually, because you mentioned in the bio that he joined the Dutch army when you
yeah.
were 8.
Untak. Yeah, 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 yeah.
How
They,
was like how did he decide that and why?
I think it was more my mom to what I heard from my mom was that she was kind of pushing him into going into the army to help serve going back to Cambodia because back then, and he probably would disagree with me or with her. But I think, well, I know back then they were looking for a translator because they were with UNTAC mission. I don't know if you heard about that. UNTAC 94, the UN tried to install democracy in Cambodia, right, in
Mm.
1994. And he was there with that mission as well, but more as a translator. So that, yeah, so he went back to Cambodia through the Dutch army to help translate. Um, yeah,
I'm curious. The Dutch government provided your family and other families in the Cambodian community with a social worker. Did they also
Hmm.
provide any mental health services to address the trauma that the community came with?
Did they? Um, I don't think so. Or maybe I think back then it wasn't. It was still a bit of taboo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, nowadays everybody goes almost to the uh, seek mental health, as in more. It's more accepted, but back then it's kind of was seen more as
It's something that you don't talk about. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So
Hmm.
I cannot really recall if they went.
Yeah, I know that in Canada and the US that was not something that was provided, but I think that was
Mm,
also a reflection of the times in society in general where like you said,
yeah,
it was sort of taboo to talk about mental health and any struggles that you had
yeah,
and
yeah,
your
exactly.
past. Let's talk about what you do now. Tell me, how did you become an artist in Cambodia, this boy who grew up in the Netherlands?
Well, I like I told you, I've been doing arts for a long time already, but
Hmm.
I came back to Cambodia in what 2020. The idea was to stay here for a couple of months and then go back, but then out of the blue, well, it was not out of the blue, but COVID happened. We got stuck here. I got stuck here. I was here with my parents. My parents went back to the Netherlands because they sent a repatriation flight. And still, again, for me, it was like, I don't have anything in the Netherlands, as in, I have my friends and family, of course, but I have no obligation or no, debt or house or whatsoever, mortgage. So I was like, yes, why not stay here? And
Mm.
then everything in Europe went in lockdown. Yeah,
How did your approach to art form when you moved to Cambodia and you wanted to have the art reflect your experiences and your perspectives? Is that how it came to be? Because you wanted to show Cambodia in a different light. With your
yeah,
art, you didn't want to focus on the Khmer Kaham that everybody knows
mm,
us
yeah,
for.
yeah,
And I think
exactly.
in your on your website you mentioned yes, that is an important part of our history, but that's not how we
Yeah,
should be defined by.
yeah,
People should also know
exactly.
the beauty of our culture and the
Yeah,
richness of our heritage.
yeah, and I strongly, believe that because it's almost, you use Khmer Kaham only to dwell on your sorrows, and it wouldn't
Mm,
bring you any further. It's like, I mean, and it also make you seem more as like weak or sad to the outside world. I mean, Cambodia has a lot to offer. There's a lot of culture, rich culture, and I think we should also highlight that as well. But a lot of traditions, rich traditions that still are being practiced today.
mm-hmm,
That dated back to the Angkor era. But also the modern age, as in the kids, they are getting more connected with through technologies with the outside world, and they also have something to tell, and they are less tainted by the past that our parents have, and so they also have an interesting perspective to share with the world, so yeah, I think with my art it's more so in the Netherlands, always, like I said, Cambodia was always came to me very fragmented. You know, and there was a story about this, and then we dig into it, and then we leave it alone for some time, and then
mm-hmm,
so very fragmented. But I always wanted to do something with Cambodia, but never knew what it needed to be.
mm,
And during COVID, I thought, and I was here. I thought, okay, now I'm here. I need to do something with it, and I always had the idea to. I don't know, back then was streetwear was kind of in, and I did fashion, and I like to draw and kind of fit together. So I started. So this name Risa that I started kind of started as initially wanted to be a streetwear brand, but then um, it kind of evolved into what it is now. Um, but always with the intention to do something with Cambodia. I kind of felt more before I would kind of be too rigid and push myself a bit too much into thinking it needs to be something, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. But now I'm here kind of trying to be more flexible and take what comes and kind of mold that into this vehicle, what I call Risa, and see how it kind of evolves into that. But always with a Khmer intent.
You were making clothes before? You were designing
Yeah,
clothes
yeah,
in Cambodia. And then how did you transition into murals?
yeah. So yeah, clothes wasn't really it for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a street scene here, like street art scene, right? So I got a bit into that as well. I met some people here in that scene, and they did murals as well, and I got a few commissions to them, and I kind of liked the mural idea. And I did some murals before, like I said, in Australia I did a mural, but it was never serious. And here I got the opportunity to do it seriously, and so I took it, and I like it more and more. And eventually I just made the decision just to go with this, and leave the clothing behind a bit. But I was attracted by this idea to create something, to make something. The first year I came to Cambodia, I started a life drawing group class. So
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't here, and I always like life drawing at art school, I kind of thought, oh, let's create a community or a group with people, like-minded people, and let's start draw. That kind of got me into the arts here. And then, yeah, the mural, like I said, kind of rolled from the street art scene that is going on here.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you to repeat this at the end, but in case people are
Okay.
interested now, where can people look at your work? So you have your website and Instagram. Can you
Yeah.
share what your handle is and your link is?
Okay. So my website is risa.com. That is yeah, RYYSA.com. Instagram is also Risa underscore. That's it.
Okay,
But
so did you just speak French? Do you speak French as
no,
well?
no, my partner is French, so I
Oh, I see. Okay.
kind of push me to speak French. No,
Yeah.
but
So how many languages do you speak?
well, Khmer,
Uh-huh.
English, Dutch, and can get by with German and a bit of French. Yeah, that's it.
How did
Oh yeah.
you learn German?
So Dutch German is quite similar, right? Well,
Okay. That's why you
the,
say you
the,
can get
the
by?
yeah, because well, we got French and German at school.
Mm,
The Dutch, it comes from German, right? The
mm.
Dutch can understand German, but the German cannot understand Dutch because for them it's a totally different language. But if you go to the border in the Netherlands, the German-Dutch border,
Uh-huh.
it's easy to get the language there, the German
Okay.
language. And a lot of times I just speak Dutch, but then pronounce it
The German
in a
way?
German way.
Yeah.
It works sometimes.
Yeah. So RYYSA underscore is your handle on Instagram.
Yes,
And
yes,
then RYYSA.com is your website.
yes, correct.
So tell me, what kind of work have you done? I mean, tell the listeners because I looked at your website, but you've done a lot of interesting and very cool murals, and for big
Yeah,
corporations as well.
yeah. So some work I worked with Air Asia. I did a mural. Well, it was a digital mural for them because Air Asia last year they expanded their routes, new routes in Cambodia, and they wanted to promote that in a video. And so they asked a was it an agency to make that video, and they asked me to do a mural in that video. But yeah, so what kind of murals have I done? I did one for the Marriott here. Um, yeah, in a restaurant, uh, Khmer inspired theme. I always try to get, with the work I do, I always try to get away from the too traditional in a way, because every time I see a place that is Cambodian, or I always see the same imagery, it's always an Apsara or an Angkor Wat, or the name is Apsara restaurant or Angkor Wat Katil, or, and it always comes across to me as, oh, we're not more creative than this, as in, so I kind of try to get away from this um, standard, yeah, standard imagery of it. Try to expand it more, and that's what I like to do with my art as well. But also, yeah, I mean, like Cambodia is developing; it's going to a modern age, and also a young, very young population. And we need a visual language that kind of represents that as well. And I mean, with the traditional imagery that already exists, it's nice, but it's just one part of it, and yeah, it's one dimensional. And like I said, it kind of communicates to me that we're not more creative than this, So yeah, I want to kind of change this in a way with my art. So what I try to, what I focus on and make in making my art is to yeah, portray other things than Angkor Wat and Apsara. So I did a mural for Siem Reap. They opened a new academy. What is it? The mixed complex where you can live, work, play, all these things. But yeah, so they wanted something Khmer as well, traditional, but not the Angkor Wat and Apsaras and stuff. And so and it needed to be reflecting the ordinary people. So no, royalties or gold or that kind of stuff. So I was digging into Khmer culture, Angkor era, and I came across the traditional Bandai Pratip. I don't know if you know it.
No, I don't.
Bandai Pratip.
Can you explain what it is?
Yeah, so you see it in neighboring countries, in Thailand, Laos, where they make a raft, a floating raft, a small one from banana leaves, and they would decorate it with flowers and put a candle on it, and then let it float on the rivers. And that is to, and it comes from it dates back to the Angkor era, and it's really done by ordinary people, a lot of farmers, or and it really has a special place in a lot of people's heart in the Cambodians on the rural area, because it was also a way of blessing with the water goddesses and yeah, the goddesses of the earth for a good harvest and that stuff. It was really directly related to the ordinary Cambodian folk. So in my work, I'm trying to find these kind of things to highlight.
How did people find you? How did you get these big projects?
Um, First of all, Cambodia is quite small. The
Mm-hmm.
expat community is also, everybody kind of knows each other, and really, if you're into the arts here, the community is also very small. So word goes around pretty quickly, and then if you make something, um, yeah, if you make good work, and it will get noticed as well. So it is quite easy to get noticed here, and that's what I like about here. As in contrary to the West, in the Netherlands, where everything is almost oversaturated. There's a lot of competition and it's hard to get into. Here in Cambodia, it's all new almost. Everything you do is almost new, and it's all developing. And so it's more easier to
To
get
get
known
noticed.
here. Yeah, to get noticed. And especially if you're Khmer,
Hmm. Hmm.
Khmer from overseas, and you deliver good work, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. The caveat is you have to deliver good work. Like we're
yeah.
not just going to
Oh, yeah.
accept mediocre work. Yeah.
I feel like it's easier to stand out here more.
Yeah. So you're saying that if you create something captivating,
Yeah,
then it's going to be easier for you to get noticed because there's less competition.
yeah, basically, yeah. But also, yeah, you need to know some people as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I post something on Instagram and then people will know you. It's not.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't work like this.
Yeah.
But you have to make connections. People have to know you. Talk. Need to talk to people. But
Hmm.
it's the yeah, it's much more easier to get noticed here with doing that than I would feel like how it was in the Netherlands.
Did you find it easier just to connect with people as well because it is a smaller um,
Yeah,
population to compete with? Okay.
yeah, definitely. And a lot of people are open here to to do things also, and to I think I have now working with a client who is very well, don't say names, but is very well known here. But yeah, people are willing to do things here, are ready to develop things here, and I mean you really see it. Cambodia really wants to be part of the world and is looking for ways to make that happen by bringing people from overseas in, or looking for investments, or looking for ways to develop new things. And it's yeah, it's thriving. It's really growing.
I think in one of your on your website, one of your work that you showed was you working for a nonprofit. So do you do nonprofit work as well?
I work for,
I
yeah.
think you had connected. It was a project by a nonprofit, and they had connected you with a little girl, and you two created something
Oh,
together. I
yeah,
skimmed through that real quick. Can
yeah,
you
yeah,
tell me
yeah,
about
yeah. Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so they had was it an art competition where they would link children from NGOs with professional artists. So the children would make drawings,
Mm-hmm.
and they would be linked with professional artists, and the professional artists would yeah, create a professional drawing of their art. And this event was more to, yeah, open the eyes, open the horizon of the kids to show the possibilities in arts to the kids. And some kids didn't like it. But here also, the kid who I had, I asked her, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And she's like, "Hey, I want to be a teacher." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, okay." But I feel like here, this is the only thing they kind of know.
Yeah, it's
It's
like the
like,
default. Yeah,
yeah, it's like a default. Okay, you be a teacher, or you work. I don't know,
for
but
the
it's very
government.
limited.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so yeah, the event was a way yeah, give the kids more options to broaden their
I
horizon
love
in
it.
what is possible. So
Love that.
so
Love
really
that.
like to, yeah, I really like to do these kind of things. I have worked with NGOs also before with some art projects, and it always warms my heart, as in yeah, how yeah, lovely these kids are. And I don't know, just the whole story, and then you paint something on the wall, and then a kid comes next to you, and they will ask you some questions, and it's I
Mm.
don't know, it's also cute, you know. It's like it warms my heart, really. It's yeah, I like to do things like this. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's why I wanted to do this podcast as well and interview people of all different
hmm
professions because when we were growing up, it was, we would get asked that question as well. What do you want to do when you grow up? And I
yeah,
said a teacher. My default was teacher as
yeah,
well because I didn't know anything else.
yeah,
And then,
yeah,
obviously lawyer, doctor, engineer.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's kind of hard to decide. Obviously, at a young age, it's hard to decide, but you don't really know what is out there at that young of an
hmm
age, too. So I really
Yeah,
appreciate that work that you're doing with the NGO there in exposing
hmm
a potentially creative career path for her and other
yeah,
kids.
exactly. Yeah. I think that is important, just
Yeah.
to show what is possible and just to open their horizon a bit.
Yeah. And it's through the arts that our culture stays alive and
Yeah,
continues to thrive because you guys
yeah,
are
definitely.
the backbone to making it continue because
hmm
during the Khmer Kaham, artists were targeted as well, right? And
Yeah. Yeah,
you're
they
the
were targeted, they were killed. Nothing has been left, and that's a bit sad. So that's a bit sad, of course. But I was working on a project, and I was researching, looking for information on Hanuman, and all these old stories and everything, but nothing has been kept.
Mhm.
And what has been kept is not in a good state anymore, and there's no funds to renovate and recover these for example, murals that are being there's no funds for that. But and then I was looking for pictures of Hanuman and for project, and then I come across, and then where I needed to look was in the Thai library. You
Mm.
know what I mean. So
Mhm.
it's sad that in Cambodia there's nothing from this, but then you have to look into another country library to get yeah
Well, they were able to
this
maintain that sort of stuff
yeah
because they didn't go through the same atrocities that people of our
exactly yeah
the Cambodians did.
yeah
So, but I mean, what artists like you are doing, I commend you for that. And
yeah
it's completely
thanks
necessary work to do.
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you want to do with Risa in the future? Like, what do you see happening? Because it's what 5 years in the making now. So you're really fresh, right?
Yes, really fresh. I really felt like since I've been in Cambodia, I was really learning the craftsmanship. Really, I mean, in the Netherlands, I was starting it already, but it never came off the ground. But now in Cambodia, I really kind of skyrocketed almost. But in yeah, I don't know where I see it. What I know is just I want to keep doing this. Murals
Mm-hmm.
is what I love. I
Mm-hmm.
will continue doing murals. Um, but also more, yeah, what I like personally for myself is just to travel the world and do murals everywhere and spread more of the Cambodian culture as well
Mm-hmm.
through the arts, spread the other pictures than Apsaras and Angkor Wat. But yeah, this is what I want to do. And yeah, and this is what I want to do.
Let's go back to what you were saying about the future. You're open to the evolution of your art right now because it is
Yes,
only
exactly.
5 years old.
Yeah.
In the next year, though, where do you see it going?
So the upcoming year, I would see it more going internationally. I'm working on a commission now back for the Netherlands as well. So, but also regionally here in Cambodia, Southeast
Mm,
Asia, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Malaysia. In Malaysia, it was the first time, and was really amazed by everything there. How very nice city and country to be in, and there's a lot of arts going on. You know, it's more developed than here, and there's a lot of arts going around there already. So I see it developing more internationally and regionally. That's my
Nice.
aim. Yeah, and then
Great.
hopefully one day in Canada,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
I
my
mean,
dream
that
right
would be
now
great.
too, to connect with people in Cambodia and build that
Yeah.
bridge. Yeah. Before we end, can you share with us one or two things that you'd like listeners to take away from your story?
Hmm. I always find it hard to talk about myself, in a way. I don't know. So, I have to give credit to my partner who kind of pushed me to do this because I'm not really, outgoing as in public seeking, person. But yeah, what I like to give away. Yeah, try things out, take risks. Come to Cambodia. Cambodia, is developing. They really need more people to come here and to show their skills. And there's a lot of opportunity here. That's one thing I can say. And Cambodia wants to invest in talent, wants to invest in development. They're ready to pay you more than your own home country and everything. But come to Cambodia and
Come to Cambodia.
come to Cambodia and take the risk. Don't think too much about what if this, what if that. But just do it. And I always tell to myself, if it doesn't work out, I can always go back to my life in the
Right.
Netherlands. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't miss that life there, as in I miss my friends and the people close to me. But um, if it fails here, I can always go back. So that's very safe for me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, so one last time, tell people how they can find you, how they can connect with you.
Okay, so you can find me in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh. If you're here, let me know. I'm happy to get some coffee with you and have a chat, of course. But yeah, contact me first, and you can find me on my website, risa.com. That is RYYSA.com. Yeah, and there you see my Instagram page and my contacts and email and everything. So yeah, yeah.
So we connected on LinkedIn. Can
Yeah.
people connect with you there as
Definitely
well?
LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
Yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the social. I don't have TikTok though. I'm staying away from TikTok.
Yeah.
I get everything to Instagram already, so it's God. I cannot have another one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Quality over quantity.
exactly.
Akon Cheerted for sharing your story and journey with us. You exemplify why we should focus on our natural talents, and what you're meant to do will come with exploration and commitment. But it does involve work and, like you said, making connections. I hope we get to meet in person one day, whether that's Canada or Cambodia. Hopefully Cambodia, because a trip there is due for me. Mampon, if you're interested in Cheerted's work and you're in Phnom Penh, you can get his work delivered to you with no shipping costs. Definitely check out the links in the show notes. And if you know someone who'd find his story inspiring, share it with them. Akon Charan for listening. It means so much to me that the stories shared on Khmer Voices speak strongly to you. And if you're listening on Spotify, I love getting comments there. So don't hesitate to, show some love there as well. But if you're not, you can always DM me on Instagram. I like to check out my Instagram at least once a day there. So that works too. And, I just love connecting with you guys. So we'll be back in 2 weeks and I'll catch you then.